8 things you need to know about body count. Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be talking about body count. What is it? Is it important? Do we even care? Or is it something we really need to know before we get serious in a relationship? So I'm going to cover all of that, and what I tell you, you might find surprising. But before I do that, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Doing so greatly helps the channel, and I really appreciate it. I am closing in on 100,000 subs. It's a goal that I have wanted to hit for a long time. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do so. Hey everybody, I am Kevin Anthony. I am a certified sexologist, Tantra Counselor, NLP Practitioner, and sex, love, and relationship coach. And for over 10 years, I have been helping men, women, and couples have the relationship of their dreams and the best sex of their lives. Okay, so first of all, what is body count? Body count is a term that is used these days to mean how many people you've had sex with. And you'll hear the term thrown around a lot. Oh, I have a high body count, or oh, I have a low body count. And you'll see people say things like a low body count is better, and then even a few people might say a high body count is better. I would say in general, there's a bit of a stigma on anybody that has a high body count. But we're really going to break this down, and we're going to figure out whether or not this really is an issue, and what some of the downsides and maybe what some of the potential upsides are. So let's break it down. All right, number one, the first thing you need to know about body count is that literally everybody has a past. And that's just normal. And the older you are, you might not have that high a body count or that many things that have happened to you in the past when you're in your 20s or maybe in your 30s. But what if you're dating in your 40s and your 50s? You have decades now of life experience and things that you have gone through, experienced, different relationships. So, the older you are, obviously the higher that body count is going to be, unless of course you were in a long-term relationship and then maybe you divorced, or maybe you lost a spouse, something like that. But otherwise, if you've been dating for long enough, you're going to amass a body count. And honestly, that isn't really important. And we're going to talk about what is really important as we go along. But what I just wanted you to know in number one is that everybody has a past. Literally, everybody has a past. And that's okay. All right, number two thing you need to know about body count is people are allowed to make amends for their mistakes. Now, along with that, I would also say there are many different reasons why somebody might have a high body count. It might be that they kept trying over and over and over again to find the right person, only to be disappointed and end up breaking up. So, there are people that aren't willing to settle and that are on that quest to find the person that is their right person. And sometimes it takes going through some people before you figure that out. Now, some people will say, well, you just need to be more choosy, but it's not that easy to tell, honestly. It really isn't. You've got to spend some time with somebody before you can really figure out whether or not the long-term compatibility is there and whether or not that person really is your person. So that's one potential reason. Another potential reason could be that they've got baggage, they've got trauma, they've got things that they need to work on that keep sabotaging their relationships. And so they go from relationship to relationship to relationship, right? Amassing a body count along the way because they haven't done the internal work to solve the trauma, any other issues they may have. But even if that's the case, let's say that is the case. Let's say that this person, did have a bunch of trauma or, abuse or self-sabotaging patterns that were really sabotaging all the different relationships, and therefore they've amassed a lot of relationships over the years. People are allowed to make amends for that if they have actually done the work and improve themselves and become better versions of themselves. Should we hold it against them that they screwed up all those other times? I personally think no. Now, of course, you need to make a judgment about whether or not you think the person has actually moved past those self-destructive patterns. But, that is part of getting to know somebody and getting to know their past and history. So don't assume that just because they have a high body count that they were a slut or, whatever other negative connotations there might be out there. There could be trauma patterns being repeated. There could be, holding high standards and not committing to a relationship until they find what they're really looking for. There's lots of reasons for it. Okay, the third thing you need to know about body count is none of that really matters as long as they are emotionally, psychologically, and physically healthy. So, obviously, that's going to take asking questions and getting to know somebody. It might also mean, being tested for STIs, which if you're dating, I think is something everybody should be doing. It's really interesting in the, poly and open relationship world, people get tested all the time. And people, of course, have judgment on people who are in those worlds because, they have sex with all these different people. And yet, I know tons of people that consider themselves monogamous and that are out there dating and having sex with multiple different people, maybe not at the same time, but one after another, through the dating process. And they're like, oh, you're poly? And it's like, you've had more sex than the people who consider themselves poly. And by the way, you're not actually going and getting tested because you don't think it's a big deal, whereas on the other side they are. So, again, judgments are not necessarily a good idea because just because somebody considers themselves monogamous doesn't necessarily mean that they are taking the necessary steps. And in fact, often they don't, simply because they don't know any better. But the point is are they healthy? As long as they've come out the other end, it doesn't matter what the body count previously was. As long as on the other end they come out and they're healthy. They're physically healthy, they're emotionally healthy, and they're psychologically healthy. So as long as those things are okay, body count doesn't matter. Okay, the fourth thing that you should know is, are they actually committed to the relationship that you are creating with them? And that is really the most important thing, because people will often assume that just because you have a high body count that you must just want to play the field, or you have fear of commitment, or whatever issues you have. Now that might be true, that could certainly be true, and a high body count is an indicator that there may be some of those issues, some of which we've already talked about, but it's not necessarily true. And if somebody shows up in your life that seems like a good match and that you're attracted to, but they happen to have a high body count, what you really want to look for is, okay, so you had a high body count in the past. Where are you at now? And are you willing to commit to this relationship and give it everything? Give it all you've got. Really commit to it 100%. Because if that's the case, then it doesn't matter how many people or relationships they had in the past. Okay, the fifth thing you need to know about body count is that if somebody does have a fairly high body count, there may be some positives to that. In other words, they may actually now know what it is that they really want in a relationship and in their sex life. So often when people don't have a lot of experience, they don't necessarily know what they like and what they want. And so through that process of accumulating body count, they might actually learn and go, oh, okay, I was in a relationship like this. Nope, that's not what I want. Oh, my sex life was like this. And nope, that's not what I want. Oh, but I was in this relationship that didn't work out. But this piece, the way that we made love together, yes, that experience that I had is what I'm looking for. I finally figured it out, right? So it's just like anything else in life. The more experience you have, the more likely you are to know what you like, what you don't like, and also be good at it. So there is a possibility that somebody with a high body count is a lot better at not just the sex, although yes, the sex, but also better at being in a relationship, because each one of those previous failures hopefully has taught them something, has taught them how to speak up more, has taught them better ways of communicating, has taught them to be more emotionally vulnerable, has taught them to show up either as a masculine, or taught them how to relax into their feminine, or whatever it is. They've probably gained a significant amount of experience along the way that hopefully will benefit their next relationship. Okay, I actually covered 5 and 6 right there. They may actually know exactly what it is that they want and don't want, and that they may have learned valuable skills. So I'm going to go on to number 7, which is the number of partners has absolutely nothing to do with a loose vagina. This is a huge myth. You hear this all over the place. Oh, they have a high body count, they must have a loose vagina. But where do these things come from? The amount of sex or number of different partners that you've had have absolutely nothing to do with the tone and the strength of the vaginal muscles. Vaginas are amazing. They can expand and they can contract. And even if they had a really enormous penis over and over and over again for 15 years, means nothing. It means absolutely nothing, other than maybe they like big penises. But it doesn't mean that the vagina is now stretched out and that's it, and she's no good for anybody else. This is just stupidity, honestly. A woman's vagina, aside from being able to expand and contract, how tight it feels has to do with the tone of the muscles in the vagina, which she can work on and develop at any point in her life, no matter how old she is, no matter how many partners she's had, no matter how many children she's had. She can have a tight vagina if she actively works on exercising and toning those muscles. So throw that idea out the window right now that just because she may have a high body count, that somehow her vagina is not as good. That is complete nonsense. Okay, and the last thing that you need to know about body count is that who cares what anybody else thinks? One of the big stigmas about body count is, oh, I can't date that person because everybody knows they dated X number of other people. Who cares what anybody else thinks? I certainly don't, and you shouldn't either. I couldn't actually be here in front of this camera putting information out to you if I cared what other people think, because believe me, the internet is a brutal place. And even though I am lucky enough to get a lot of very positive comments, and thank you audience for that, there are always people out there who will criticize and tell me I'm wrong. So this should be your philosophy for all things in life. Who cares what anybody else thinks? Is this a good person that you're with? Are they compatible with you? Can you see yourself long-term in a relationship with them? Do you enjoy being around with them? Do you have a deep connection? Do you have a great sex life? These are the things that are important and that matter. What other people think means absolutely nothing. So you can drop that idea that it's important what other people think about how many people your partner or you did or didn't date or have sex with. Okay, so there you go. Those are 8 things you should know about body count. I am hoping now that if you've made it this far in the video, you've really thought differently about body count and what it really means. And maybe, just maybe, this will change the way you do dating. If you liked this video, please check out the other videos on my site. I have over 800 videos on all things sex, love, and relationship. Please also check out my podcast, the Love Lab Podcast, which you can watch right here on this channel, or you can listen to on any major podcast platform. And also, please go to my website, kevinandceline.com. That is kind of my one-stop shop hub for all the things that I'm doing. You can find out how to work with me there. You can go to kevinandceline.com/Volt. That link is in the description. And you can sign up for a free library full of content to help you have better relationships and better sex. You can also check out powerandmastery.com, which are my online courses. All those links are in the description, and I would really appreciate it if you checked some of those out.